Greetings wrestling fans and welcome back to the channel, and today it is another time for the WWE Draft mock predictions. Now these are just my personal picks and my personal decisions on who I think are going to change brands. I am not going to be including everybody on this list because not every single wrestler is going to change brands. But I am going to be making some pretty big guesses, and I'll give you guys my explanations to a few of them. So we're going to be starting from the Raw side and working our way down. We've got Gunther going to Monday Night Raw, the Intercontinental Championship being brought over to Raw. I personally think it's time for a change. I think it might help give Gunther some new, fresh opponents, maybe him versus AJ Styles, him versus maybe Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa, and a couple of other, new superstars that could, some just different fresh opponents for him during his Intercontinental title reign. I reckon Braun Strowman will move over to Monday Night Raw, because I think Braun Strowman, to me, Braun just feels a bit out of place on SmackDown. I've never really pictured him as a SmackDown guy. I always pictured him better on Raw. So I think moving Braun to Raw, ending his little partnership with Ricochet, would be the right call to make. I don't have anything against the Braun Strowman Ricochet tag team. I just think, they're just a useless team. It's not like, fans are going to lose sleep over Braun Strowman and Ricochet breaking up. Next is the Bloodline. The Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns all being moved over to Monday Night Raw. As for Roman Reigns, I've heard rumors and speculation, I'm going to just call it speculation, that if Roman Reigns gets drafted to Raw, they're going to create some kind of brand new title for him. Like, instead of it being both belts, it's like a brand new belt that's called Undisputed Universal Champion. I don't know, that's just the rumor. I kind of hope they make a ruling saying that Roman can only choose to keep one title if he gets drafted. But knowing them, they'll probably just let him carry both around. And then, instead of Raw having the issues not having a world champion on their show, it'll be SmackDown that'll be having that issue. So I feel they've got to do something with the Universal Championship. They've got to do something. I hope they make a rule saying that, Roman has to surrender one of his titles. Like, maybe have him surrender the WWE Championship and then put the WWE Championship on SmackDown, and thus having the Universal Championship on Raw, and then just redesign the Universal Championship entirely, and instead of just changing it to the color red, just create a whole new belt. That's just my opinion, but I think Roman going over to Raw wouldn't be, a bad idea, because, he kind of needs a bit of a change, but, he's beaten everybody on the roster, so it's not like, changing his show will give him new, fresh opponents. He's already beaten everyone. Karrion Kross and Scarlett going over to Monday Night Raw. Personally, I just don't really think they're best suited on SmackDown, and honestly, I don't really care too much for them. I like Scarlett more than Karrion, but, I just don't really care. Putting them on a 3-hour show might be better for them. Hit Row. Shit Row. Moving them over to Raw. I think moving them to Raw would be better. 3-hour show. You've probably got at least a few. You probably at least have an app. You can probably at least fill in maybe them doing a stupid rap song and then getting beat up by somebody to fill in some time. You could probably do that, I guess. But I guess this isn't a Vince McMahon show. But, yeah, Hit Row on Raw. I wouldn't really lose sleep over them going over to Raw, and they're not really going to add too much anyway. They're not really going to add much to the divisions anyway. Viking Raiders moving over to Raw. I've personally always wanted to see the Viking Raiders on SmackDown, and after about a year or two since they've been on the Blue brand, I can't really say I've been all that excited. This heel turn has kind of made me a little interested in them, but I think adding Sarah Logan made me lose a little bit interest. But it's not going to make me lose sleep over it, to be honest. having Sarah Logan there was interesting, but overall, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, maybe turn Viking Raiders back face, or or just moving them over to Monday Night Raw, giving them some new, fresh opponents, and having them dominate on the Raw end might actually help them. We'll have to wait and see. Since Kevin Owens is already on Monday Night Raw, I have decided to move Sami Zayn over to Monday Night Raw. Thus, therefore, you can create an idea. You can create the idea, since Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are now exclusive to Monday Night Raw, you can have Adam Pearce come to the ring and tell Kevin and Sami that they will have to hand over the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Have them give up the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, thus having Kevin and Sami as the Raw Tag Team Champions, and then you can create a tournament on SmackDown to create new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I guess you could kind of do the same thing with Roman, where Roman has to surrender the Universal title and then create a tournament for that. But then again, the Universal Championship is the title that kind of has his record-breaking record on. So that's why I kind of picture maybe they'll take the WWE title off him if they were going to do something like that. But then again, it's Roman Reigns. They'll let him keep both belts. And they'll probably do the same thing with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They'll just let them keep both belts. I just can't see them breaking up the titles. I just can't see it. They've had plenty of chances to do it, and they still haven't done it. I'm hoping the draft is where they do it, but I still don't see them doing it. Next, moving over to Monday Night Raw, I'd have Shinsuke Nakamura. The reason why I'd move Shinsuke is because, well, he's been on SmackDown his entire career. I think moving him over to Raw might be a fresh start for him. And I think, you know, moving him over would give him some new opponents to work with. And I just overall think it'd just be better for him. I just think it'd be better for him if he moves to another show. You know, give him something new to do. I just think having him on SmackDown all the time, you know, despite that I think he fits so much better, even though I think, you know, SmackDown's kind of been his home, I just think, you know, maybe moving him to another show, maybe for a year or so, may not be such a bad idea. Drew McIntyre is another guy I would move over to the Monday Night Raw show. I'd get him away from Sheamus. I'd get him away from Sheamus, and I'd also bring Drew back as a heel. That is what I would do there. Bray Wyatt. I'd move Bray Wyatt over to Monday Night Raw because, you know, the stuff that he does would be best suited on a 3-hour show. You know, his weird, creepy promos and all that stuff he does with Uncle Howdy. Best suited for a 3-hour show. I mean, come on. Come on, guys. You know. Come on, guys. You know it. We all know the stuff he does would be best suited for a 3-hour show, not a 2-hour show. LA Knight is another superstar I'm predicting will move over to Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I know, moving him away from Wade Barrett may not... But yeah, Wade Barrett losing his favourite superstar might be heartbreaking to him. But they've all... But a speculated rumour said that even the commentators are apparently eligible to be drafted, even though I did not put any of them on this list, but a speculated rumour I saw even said the commentators could also be drafted. So who knows? Maybe Wade Barrett gets drafted to Monday Night Raw. But then again, that ruins the whole purpose of why But then again, that also ruins the purpose of someone I moved on the SmackDown brand. But either way, that's been reported and speculated that even the commentators are apparently eligible in this draft. So maybe they move Vic Joseph up. Who knows? Honestly, I kind of prefer Vic Joseph over KP, if I'm being completely honest. But I'm rambling. I think moving LA Knight to Raw might be a nice, might be a nice change of pace. And again, new fresh opponents for him. But I wouldn't be upset if he did stay on SmackDown. Because I kind of like LA Knight on SmackDown. So I can't really say I would be too upset by it if he did stay on Raw. So that kind of wraps up the women. And next I've got the women's division. And in the women's division here may not sound very good may not sound very good if you're into the women's division. So Bianca Blair's new division will provide other than the people I didn't change, Bianca Blair will now have a division with Charlotte Flair, B-Fab, Lacey Evans, Natalya, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi, Sonya Deville, Tegan Nox, and Xia Li. Those are the women I have decided to move over to Raw because Tegan Nox on a 3-hour show may give her something to do. B, Sonya Deville is now tagging with Chelsea Green, so putting her on Raw as the same show as her tag team partner would be better because it's just so silly to see one superstar on SmackDown and another person on Raw all of a sudden being a tag team. It just looks stupid, so either you move Chelsea to SmackDown or you move Sonya to Raw. That's really all you gotta do. And I'd move Sonya Deville to Raw because Sonya is like Shinsuke. She's been on SmackDown her whole career. Well, I guess she has been on Raw a little bit during the Absolution days, but, just put her on Raw a bit more often. As for Shotzi, she's never been on Raw, and, you kind of need that resident superstar that needs to be on a main event, and I think Shotzi would be perfect for that role. And Ronda and Shayna, for obvious reasons, they're a tag team, and obviously I could see them moving to Raw. Lacey Evans, she moves every single year. Charlotte, moving her to Raw means they can eventually do Bianca Blair versus Charlotte. Natalya, because she's been on SmackDown for a while. B-Fab, because of Hit Row. And Xia Li is because, she's never been on Raw, and a nice fresh change for her. Now, as for the NXT call-ups, I have no idea who's going to be getting called up. So I've made 2 predictions on each side. On the Raw side, I've predicted Bron Breakker to Monday Night Raw and Roxanne Perez to Monday Night Raw. So you can have Roxanne on the show, basically beating people like Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green and Nikki Cross and Xia Li. Give her all the lower card stars, and also possibly book her poorly and not book her on the show. You could probably do that too. But either way, that is Raw. Those are the people I have decided to put on the Raw side. You guys let me know down below if you guys agree with it or not. And now it's time for the SmackDown side. Now for the SmackDown side, I've decided to go... It's a bit smaller than the Raw side because I couldn't really think of anybody. But here is my predictions on who I think will move over to SmackDown. Austin Theory. I think Austin Theory will move over to SmackDown. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. I know I only mentioned Gunther, so some of you may be thinking I'm splitting him away from Imperium. I'm not. I know I should have also included and Imperium, but if Gunther goes to Raw, I'm pretty sure they'll move, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni over to Raw as well. So don't worry, I didn't split Gunther away from Ludwig and Giovanni. They're all there as well. So Austin Theory, I see him moving over to SmackDown. As I said, he's been on Raw basically since the last draft, and I think moving him to SmackDown... Though I'm not a big fan of Austin Theory, I think moving him to SmackDown, he's the US champion, so you kind of have to move him to SmackDown, whether we really like it or not. And then again, they might have still wanted to move him if he was US champion or not. Another one is Bronson Reed to SmackDown. Main reason is because I like hearing Wade Barrett say, Tsunami! I like how Wade Barrett says Bronson Reed's finishing move, and I hate the Raw commentary for not saying it like that. But if Bronson Reed does not go to SmackDown and they decide to move Wade Barrett to Monday Night Raw, then, you know what, then maybe I can be okay with Bronson Reed being on Raw. But for now, I think moving Bronson Reed to SmackDown so Wade Barrett can say Tsunami the way he does is definitely better. Also moving over to SmackDown is Bronson Reed's arch rival right now is Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley kind of needs to get away from Raw. He's, again, in the same boat as Shinsuke Nakamura. He's been on Raw since his return in 2018. He's been on Raw since his return, and I think moving him to another show would be better for him, and it would also kind of, you know, give him something fresh to do. You know, he's got some new opponents to work with, and all that jazz. I just feel, you know, sometimes a superstar's been on a show for too long, it just makes you think, well, yeah, it's time for them to move. I'd also move Cedric Alexander to SmackDown, because, geez, the poor guy just can't get used on Raw. Now, some of you may be saying, well, if he can't get used on Raw, then what chance does he have on SmackDown? Sure, you may be right about that. He may not have much of a chance on SmackDown, but Ricochet is on SmackDown, and if I was to pair Ricochet with anybody in a tag team, it'd be Cedric Alexander. Remember when Cedric Alexander and Ricochet were a tag team for a brief period in the pandemic era? Why not put them back together? Why not reunite them back together? I thought them together was actually decent. So get them back together. I'd also move the Giant Omos to SmackDown because, again, he's been on Raw since his introduction, and I think moving him to SmackDown would be nice. So basically SmackDown's becoming the land of the Giants. But then again, if they did keep Omos on Raw, and seeing Omos powerbomb Omos would be pretty cool. I won't lie. But other than that, I think Omos moving to SmackDown would be a nice change of pace for him. I would move the Alpha Academy to SmackDown because I'm just not happy with their booking on Raw. I just think moving them over to SmackDown would be so much better. And that way, and as I said, with the idea that I pitched of vacated SmackDown tag team titles, then you can have Alpha Academy and other tag teams vie in this tournament for it. And you could probably even have Alpha Academy take the W. Well, if it was me, I would. The Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley. Well, Rhea Ripley's kind of already a SmackDown superstar because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. But they don't really... That's the weird thing. They confirm Rhea as a SmackDown superstar because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. But the other three members of the Judgment Day are not SmackDown superstars. They're all classified as Raw. But I hope in this draft, the only thing I'm hoping for is whatever show these superstars are on, that's where they stay. None of this, oh, they're feuding with a certain person so they can go to another show. They must stay where they are. I don't want to hear any excuses. You've created a draft for us to invest in a new roster. I don't want to see Riddle appearing on SmackDown. I don't want to see the Bloodline appearing on SmackDown or Raw if they're the tag champions or not. I'm just tired of WWE ruining the draft because they just want certain people on the other show. Whatever show they're on, they have to stay there. Only if you're the Universal Champion like Roman, or if you're the Women's Tag Team Champions like Liv and Raquel. They're the only ones that should be allowed to change. I put Johnny Gargano on SmackDown, give him a new fresh place. I'd move Angelo Dawkins to SmackDown. Yes, I am breaking up the Street Profits, baby. Montez and Bianca will stay on Raw, while Angelo Dawkins will go on to become a single star on SmackDown. I'd move Randy Orton to SmackDown so we can never have him interact with Riddle ever again. No, that's not the main reason. I just think, he should, be on SmackDown because I just think it'd be better for him. Seth Rollins also moving over to SmackDown. And as for the women, I would have, as much as I don't really like it, but you know what? I feel like SmackDown would have a nice, better division if they had the following superstars on SmackDown. Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Dana Brooke, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Becky Lynch, Piper Niven, and Piper Niven. There you go. That's who I would move on to SmackDown. And for the women's division, I'd put Dana Brooke and Emma together as a tag team. Yeah, I'd just do that. And then the other two, and the other leftovers I've got on SmackDown, I'd put Tommaso Ciampa on SmackDown, and I'd put Los Lotharios on SmackDown. As for NXT call-ups, again, just as a guess, I'm not sure if these are going to be confirmed or not. The only people I'm guessing that will get called up from the NXT side, Grayson Waller and Pretty Deadly. Those are the ones I would put on SmackDown. So, that's my draft. I know some people are probably surprised I didn't put Cora Jade on here, is because, well, I kind of want Cora Jade to have an NXT Women's title run first, before she eventually gets called up. That's kind of what I want. But will I get what I want? Probably not. Probably not. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to this draft predictions. Let me know your opinions down below, and who would you change? You let me all know. Hit that thumbs up, and I will see you all on the other side.